there. This is a video for lesson 11.2. We're going to be talking about median and mode in this video. And last video we learned about mean as one of the measures of center. And I just wanted to review that a little bit before I jump into the other two measures of center. And measures of center basically just describe the center of the data. And all three of these, mean, median, and mode, are all just ways to summarize information, which is data. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I have a picture up here to kind of give you a connection on what the word median means. In real life, if you're in a car or driving down the highway, you should see a grassy area, or sometimes they have a partition in the middle, in between the lane you're in, or the traffic pattern you're in, and then the opposite pattern on the opposite side of the highway. That, in real life, is called the median. And so, it's the grassy area in the middle of a highway. So, that's what I think about when I'm trying to remember what the median means. Also, you can think of a medium-sized shirt. That's another way to think about it. Because basically, and this is what we're going to fill in, just to give you a heads up, that is this page that we filled in the mean in the last video. And so now, if you turn in your notebooks to this second barn door, we're going to start filling out those and talking about what median actually is. So when you're having to find median, you want to think about that median picture or that medium-sized shirt and think in the middle, okay? So think middle. It is the middle value in a set of numbers. So to find the median, we're going to put the numbers in order from least to greatest. That's important because you don't want to forget a number. And if you put them in order and keep track of them when you're doing that, then you won't accidentally miss one, because that will definitely change your answer of which number is in the middle of all of them. So in order to find the middle value, you want to mark off the high and low values until you reach the middle. Right middle again. And this is very important that you keep track. You want to hack off the highest and lowest. That's one pairing, one on each side, and then continue to do the same until you reach the middle value. It's easier when there's a smaller data set, but when there gets to be a large number, you want the same number of numbers on the right of, or on the left of the median, and you want the same number of numbers on the left-hand side of the median. Sometimes, when there are an even number of numbers, you're going to have two numbers that end up being in the middle. You'll have maybe 8 numbers on this side, 8 numbers on this side, and then 2. And you have to find the median of those two numbers. If there are two middles, you have to add them up and divide by 2. And this is actually finding the mean or average of those two numbers. So, just erase this here. An example, and now we're on the example side of your notes. The example problem that we're going to do to find the middle value, we're going to do 2. So make sure you write it a little bit smaller so you can fit 2 examples in that box. For the odd number set, we're going to have the numbers 6, 1, 4, 5, and a 7. So that's our data set. We don't have a question that's connected to this, but that's okay. We're just going to find the median of these numbers. First thing, we're going to put them in order. So 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, it's very easy when there's a smaller set, but basically, and I'm going to just switch colors here, basically all you're going to do is cross off numbers, starting low and high. So here is one pairing, 1 is crossed off on each side. Here's the second pairing, 1 is crossed off on each side. We are left with 5 in the middle. So the median will be 5 for the first example. Here's the example for when there's an even number of numbers. So we'll get rid of this. Really, it's going to be the same numbers that we started with, but we're going to add 1. And the number that we're going to add, so go ahead and rewrite 6, 1, 4, 5, and 7. And we're going to add another 1. Okay? So when we put them in order now, there's going to be 2 1s, and then the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7. So again, when we cross off on either side, we want to make sure, and if you have a larger set, here's another strategy. You can use different colors. You can cross off the first pairing. You can circle and cross off the second pairing, whatever you can do so that you have the same number. There's 2 on this side crossed off. There's 2 on this side crossed off. And now we're left with 2 numbers in the center. And in order to find the middle of them, it's easy when there's just side by side, they're consecutive here. The middle value is going to be halfway in between both of these, which is 4.5. But sometimes they're not going to be right next to each other. So how do we do it? We add 4 plus 5, and then we take 9, and we divide by 2. And half of 9 is going to equal 4.5. When there are 2, add them up, divide by 2. Okay, next and last measure of center is the mode. And one of my favorite animated movies, I have many, is The Incredibles. And in that movie, one of the most hilarious, in my opinion, characters is Edna Mode. So, and I'm going to be a little dorky right now. When I think of mode, and I'm emphasizing the long O in mode, I think of Edna Mode. And this is going to your notes. I want you to think of the word most with the long O highlighted, or emphasized, sorry. So, go ahead and put, whoops, not mode. When you hear the word mode, I want you to think of the word most. And this is the value that occurs the most often. So, in order to find the mode, we're going to put the numbers in order, again, from least to greatest. Why do we do that? Same reason as before, we don't want to miss any. Then we're going to find the number that appears most often, or the most. There may be more than one mode, or there may be no mode. That is okay, and it would just be none or no mode. So, an example, we have 2, just like before, and we're going to use the same numbers as before, so we're going to have 6, 1, 4, 5, 7, 1. So this was from an example, the second example from median. And again, we're going to put them in order. I know you did that before, but especially when we have a lot of numbers, we don't want to miss some. And now, because they're in order, you can definitely see that there's 2 of them. So our mode for our first example is 1. However, if we had the data set that we had in example 1, if we had just the 6, 1, 4, 5, and 7. Sorry, 7, there we go. This case, there is no mode, and that is a perfectly okay answer. All right. The last thing I just want to mention is actually something that is on the first page you glued in. Find it. So it's on the very bottom. It's italicized. We did not fill it in the last video, but we are going to fill it in now. Because sometimes you're going to just have a direction that says, describe this data set using measures of center. What does that mean? It basically just means find all 3. find the mean, find the median, find the mode, and report what they are. The mean is 4. And then write some sentences. You're going to have to describe data in this chapter, so there's some tips that are on the bottom of your note page that we're going to fill in. So find both the median and mode, and then you might be asked to compare using a sentence. These are just some ideas of ways you could compare, so I actually had this filled in. What you need to do is actually fill in the word close, because one idea that you could write is if you find the median and the mode and they're kind of close to each other, you could just say that the values are close. Sometimes the mode and the median are actually equal. So fill that in your notes. That is another thing you can say at the end after you find each measure of center. And finally, if they're not really close and they're not equal, you can compare them using less than and greater than. So the median is less than the mode could be greater than the median, so there's lots of different possibilities. That's why I have the slashes here, but you just need to fill in less than and greater than in your last blank. And these are just some tips, like I said, for when you're doing problems and the problem asks you to describe. That means to write it in a sentence. And I think I have one more example that is optional that you can try. And this is a little bit harder. There's 8 numbers, and they are decimals. So the direction is find the median and mode of the numbers and then compare them writing a sentence. Have fun. I'll see you in class tomorrow to practice median and mode.